the demand. Well, that's unusual.
Yep. Rehearsal? Was it still rehearsal?
Get ready to go and do battle here at Chicagoland Speedway.
Summertime, fun time at the racetrack, and it's just the way you'd expect it here in the Midwest. The weather is hot and humid, and the racing, well, the tempers may match the temperature. Expecting fast and tight here at Chicagoland Speedway in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. Ross Chastain has plenty of reasons to smile, 50,000 of them to be exact. He cashed in last week in the Triple Truck Challenge. There's a lot of work to do if he's to go back-to-back. Chastain starts 16th. Speaking of back-to-back, Brett Moffitt looks to repeat as winner here at Chicagoland. Last season, he used the victory here to catapult him to the series title. Now Moffitt's looking to return to championship form. Johnny Sauter has also won here, did it back in 2017. Tonight, Sauter returns to the seat following a one-week suspension after tangling with Austin Hill. Tonight, they start side by side. Hill rolls from the top spot after scoring his first career pole, and he did it in track record form. No one has ever won here from the front row. Hill hopes to celebrate a pole and a win this evening. Plenty more to keep an eye on tonight, and with some of those stories, we go to pit road and begin with Alan Cabana.
Hey, Vince, keep an eye on 18-year-old Tyler Ankrum tonight. He's in the 17 truck, and the last time he was in that 17 truck, he finished a career-best third place at Texas. Some sponsorship issues kept him out of that truck the last few weeks, but he is back. The truck has speed, and most importantly, he has confidence. Look, we've already seen Cinderella stories in this series this season. Tyler Ankrum thinks he can be the next one tonight. Hermie?
Well, Alan, when Kyle Busch drives one of his KBM-prepared trucks, the results speak for themselves. He wins. Even Greg Biffle got in the truck a couple weeks ago at Texas, and he won. Tonight, the focus goes back to the two full-time rookies that drive for KBM, Todd Gilliland, Harrison Burton. You see the graphic, no wins. Average finish outside of 11. More importantly, they are outside of the cut line as it comes to the playoffs. They have to get a win, and with every passing race, the pressure mounts. We'll see if they can get it done tonight, Vince.
Well, and Hermie, as we look at those playoff standings, you see Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland outside the cut line. And as you indicated, this is a big race for a variety of drivers, especially the drivers of those 18 and 4 trucks. Let's get the command to fire those engines.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal representing Camping World, Stephen Chambers.
Drivers, start your engines.
Love to hear the sound of those engines fired up as we get ready for race number 12 of the season. Hard to believe the playoffs are creeping up on us. 16 races in the regular season, 5 to go, including tonight. And along with Michael Waltrip, Phil Parsons, I'm Vince Welch, back on a mile and a half here at Chicagoland. Last time we were on a mile and a half, Phil, we had a record amount of cautions. What kind of racing are we going to see tonight? Something similar or not?
Well, normally when we go to a mile, if we think about wide racetrack, plenty of room to maneuver. Not when we got to Texas. That racetrack, the raceable line was very, very narrow, and that led us to a record number of caution flags, Vince. As you mentioned, we had 13 caution flags. 11 of those were for incidents. We had 9 trucks fail to finish the race due to accidents. Our longest green flag run in the first 112 laps was only 11 laps. It was amazing how much carnage we had at Texas. But when we come to this racetrack, it's a whole different story. See that white line down there? You can race from there, maybe even a little bit below that, to the outside wall. Anywhere in this racetrack, there's grip. These guys can race there, and that's where we're going to see some great racing. And, Michael, there are a couple guys pretty deep in the field here that are going to need that room.
And, you know, it's going to be fun to watch them charge, Phil. We got Ross Chastain starting back in the 16th position. And, Vince, I saw his truck bouncing around. It looked like a horse with a hurt leg. He's all over the place. You talked about how wide this track is, but it's rough down low. Side by side, the low truck wants to get loose. He'll be fun to watch. And then Matt Crafton. After practice, I looked at all the times. I said, Crafton's my man. Oh, by the way, Mike, he's going to start in the rear for an engine change. So he's going to have his work cut out for him tonight, too. But it's music to these drivers' ears hearing you talk, Phil, about the wide groove that these guys have to race in. It's going to be fun to watch.
It's interesting, you know, we haven't had a winner this season start outside the top 10, but I agree with you, Mike. There's some drivers deeper in the field I like tonight. It's going to be fun here at Chicagoland.
Drivers, start your engines.
NASCAR Camping World Truck Series season has reached critical mass.
Edward Green at Chicagoland.
Wow, he went flying.
Brian Scott into the infield. Trouble behind him. Smoke on Coulter.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There's the checkered flag for Johnny Sauter, the winner at Chicagoland. Brett Moffitt is going to win at Chicagoland. All right, I'm on.
Radio.
Okay. Lose the radio.
Ross Chastain is going to come around. Racing resistance at his hand. Unbelievable.
Miles from the Windy City, race fans converge for a big weekend at Chicagoland Speedway, and it begins now.
It's going to be fun watching these guys battle. This is an awesome racetrack for these trucks.
It is indeed racing here at Chicagoland Speedway for the 11th time in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. It's the Camping World 225. Kyle Busch has won 5 of the previous 10 here at Chicagoland, not in the field tonight. Brett Moffitt and Johnny Sauter, the only 2 former winners in the field. Starting lineup down at the bottom of the screen, and the Camping World track description with Michael Waltrip.
I tell you what, the Gander Outdoors trucks have so much fun on this racetrack. You can see it's 1.5 miles in length. The turns are banked at 18 degrees. Front and back straightaways 11 and 5. That all means racing. You talked about it in the opening field. These trucks will be 3-4 wide down in the turns.
Good. Let's take a look at our race analysis here. 150 laps, 225 miles. You see our stages are 35 in the final stage 80. You see our pit window somewhere between 50-55 laps. That means that we will have a pit stop, and when do those guys put those last set of tires on in that last stage?
Onboard cameras.
Yeah, we're going to ride along. This is the Carolina Nut onboard camera for Ben Rhodes. He's been second 3 times this year, and he was in second in this race last year. He just needs one more spot. He's going to start from the 17th spot.
He'll be fast tonight, too, Phil. I like this truck. I think he'll be a contender, along with Sheldon Creed in the 2 truck, starting up in the 7th position. And check it out. He's got the visor cam. If you've ever driven anything, if you're a racer watching right now, you're like, holy cow, that feels like I'm sitting in that truck. And we'll see the bumps. We'll see the 3 and 4 wide racing I'm talking about. This is an amazing picture. Thank you to Sheldon Creed and that team for carrying our visor cam.
Well, before we get the green, let's go downstairs and check in with our pit reporters one more time for final thoughts. Hermie?
Well, Vince, Austin Hill won Daytona, so he will race for a championship, but they want another win to validate that win and put themselves in positions to be legitimate contenders. Got his first pole today. He'll start on the bottom on this initial start to try to guard against a 3 wide going into turn 1, Alan.
Hermie, Matt Crafton had to change an engine after practice, which means he'll start in the rear. But that replacement engine had some issues of its own in qualifying when they lost oil pressure. The team checked it out. They say it's still their best option to go with it. But Crew Chief Junior Joyner says it is a bit of a gamble going into this green flag. Matt Crafton starts at the back tonight, guys.
Yeah, it's been an eventful weekend for Crafton for sure. And sure, they're a little bit tense after what they've endured with the engine change and the issues they had today.
And that is a bit of a gamble, too, because he's really just above the cut line in the playoffs. If we have one of those guys down below that cut line wins this race and qualifies for the playoffs, it's a whole different scenario for Matt Crafton and those guys above the cut line.
Yeah, only 9 points separate 6, 7, and 8 of the 3 drivers just above the playoff cut line. Pace truck is off, and Austin Hill on the inside after earning pole position for the first time in his career leads us to green. A lot of smoke out of the back end of one of those trucks. That's the 99 of Ben Rhodes right out of the gate.
Low now behind him. Come on, low. Come on, low, 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 low. Really low there. I'll tell you.
I think that's engine smoke. They had an issue in practice with that truck blowing oil out, and that's what it looks like there, don't you think, Mike?
Well, Jordan Anderson, that 3 truck would know for sure. Wow, right in his cloud of smoke. They're coming to pit road to diagnose what's going on here with the 99.
Ben Rhodes, as you said, Phil, 3 times a runner-up this season and runner-up in this race a year ago, but he is having problems and might be terminal as he heads to pit road here on the 2nd lap of the race. Hermie?
Well, Vince, as Phil mentioned, these guys missed the entire first practice with an engine issue. They changed the ECU unit, and they thought they had everything obviously taken care of. He ran the second 2 practices, but something has gone amiss right here at the start. A lot of smoke, as you can see. Hood up. We're waiting for a diagnosis. NASCAR official is calling for someone else to come on pit road, maybe someone with a fire extinguisher to stand by. So we'll get back as soon as we know exactly what the culprit is.
Yeah, that was a cracked spark plug in the first practice, and they felt fortunate that they had gotten away with it not being more serious at that point, but certainly the issue is serious as he sits on pit road now.
We talked about Matt Crafton and how tenuous his position is above the cut line. Ben Rhodes was below him, but yet still above the cut line.
Yeah, Rhodes was on the bubble coming into this race.
Rhodes with issues early, and Crafton strong early, already up inside the top 15 to the 13th position, and looks like a real good run early for Crafton. And what about this battle up front? Wow.
Well, their teammate Grant Enfinger sits in third, and just ahead of him in the 24 truck, the winner here last year, Brett Moffitt, as Enfinger goes to the bottom. They're both chasing Austin Hill, the pole sitter.
What a great move by Grant Enfinger. A little bit of a slide job. Brett Moffitt's been stuck to the top of the racetrack trying to make his way around, as Grant Enfinger now thinks about going for the lead.
Grant Enfinger hasn't won yet this season, but he has scored the most points. He's the points leader. And of course, a good playoff bonus comes with it if he ends up the regular season as the points leader. Currently sits second, though, behind Austin Hill. Couldn't complete that pass. Sheldon Creed going to the bottom, taking a look at Brett Moffitt.
I didn't like his angle into that corner at all, Phil. It looked like he had to really cut hard when he got into the early part of turn 3. And look at all that momentum it cost him. Was trying to make a move on Moffitt, now in danger of losing that spot to Johnny Sauter.
Caution is out. Turn 4, truck is spun right around. That's Jordan Anderson just at the entrance of pit road.
If he can get that truck repowered, and he does, he will stay on the lead lap.
Got a soft right rear tire there. I don't know if that's...
I'm not sure he's going to be able to do that. He's probably better off doing exactly what he's doing. Come to pit road, get that tire off before it can do any more damage.
I think that right rear was down, Phil.
He
just ran over something and cut it and lost control there. Keeps it out of the wall, and he's going to lose a lap, but team gets that tire changed and get a free pass here. Jordan can get back in the fray.
5 straight top 20 finishes for Jordan Anderson. They've been on a nice little run. Had some solid results.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that, Vince. He's been so solid this year and just knocking off those top 20s. Hey, the start of the race, I think I noticed Harrison Burton missing a shift here. You can see he's normal there. Then right there when he would have went from second to third, he loses his momentum. You see Friesen going to the high side. That could very well cause problems later in the race.
Let's ride on board the 99.
That started going wrong in a hurry, didn't it?
Sure did, yeah.
He hit his shifts perfectly. Nothing he did wrong. But as soon as he pulled it into high gear, the engine started missing.
And they've taken that 99 truck back to the garage.
Now the 99 is missing.
Caution for the first time tonight. Issues for Ben Rhodes as well. Ben Rhodes came into this race on the playoff bubble. Major problems for him. He's in the garage, and also issues for last week's winner, the 45 of Ross Chastain. Alan?
Oh yeah, sorry guys, just getting an update from Ross Chastain's crew chief, Phil Gould. They said they just didn't take off well. They didn't have the speed that they wanted. They were already starting about midway. Remember, he started 16th in this race, so he came down for a handling adjustment, just trying to get some more speed. When you have that win already in the bag, you can take risks like this and see what it does for the long run.
Plus, I like this, Phil. You get an adjustment early, you see what direction to head with your truck. I think that's a great call.
I do too. And I think Phil Gould made the call of the year last week when he went fuel only to grab the lead.
Back to green at Chicagoland with Austin Hill getting a shove from Brett Moffitt. That's Grant Enfinger on the outside of the yellow truck.
Matt Crafton jumped down on the apron. Tries to get underneath Stuart Friesen.
Once they cross the start-finish line, there's no out of bounds. You can go wherever you want.
Harrison Burton making it 3 wide on the outside.
Much better start that time for Burton. Concerned about that initial start. Really have problems with that engine, possibly after over-revving it, missing a shift there.
The thing about this being a track where you can run bottom, middle, or top, somebody's always going to be in the middle.
Yeah, and I don't like that. No driver likes being stuck in the middle. You can see Austin Hill trying to drive away down on the apron from Enfinger. That's a nice run down the front for him.
Grant Enfinger challenging for the lead, and Sheldon Creed coming up around the high line.
Creed with a strong run early is able to join this battle for the lead.
Guys, how about that truck running in the 4th spot, the 51 of Brandon Jones? He started back in the 19th position, and he's already up to 4th.
Phil, you're a genius. You said you could drive all over this racetrack and there'd be some big movers. We see Crafton is already inside the top 10 like we talked about. And what about Brandon Jones with that strong run inside the top 5?
And yes, that is the same 51 truck that Kyle Busch has won 5 races with, that Greg Biffle won Texas with. Rudy Fugle told me, the crew chief, said, we have a great fast run speed. We just can't fire off. Obviously, they didn't have qualifying speed. He was 19th. He's got speed tonight.
Speed at the front of the field as well as Grant Enfinger noses ahead of Austin Hill, and Hill fights back on the outside. Battle for the lead.
Look at Enfinger trying to side draft. Look at that truck pull right alongside as they enter and squeeze down to the bottom. He's going to make it work.
Brandon Jones into 3rd with Sheldon Creed right on his bumper.
Really impressed with the job Brandon Jones has done thus far. Only 12 laps into this race.
Jones looking low, and that's Sheldon Creed right with him for 2nd. They take it away.
I don't think anybody can stop this 51 truck.
Took 2nd from Austin Hill, did Brandon Jones, and now he chases Enfinger.
We often go down in the garage, or all 3 of us, and ask the crew chiefs or the competitors or the drivers, who are the guys you have to beat? Didn't a lot of people say that the 51 truck was going to be the one we have to beat? Rudy Fugle was pretty confident that they had a good truck, as we have a 3-wide race here getting into turn 3.
Putting Matt Crafton in the middle. That's Harrison Burton on the bottom. Stuart Friesen up top. Burton gets the position, and Friesen comes with him. A big wiggle from the 18. Friesen right there on his bumper. The racing is furious here in the first 21 laps. Creed, and how about that 17 of Tyler Ankrum with Brett Moffitt on the top. Ankrum's been in the 87, the Nemechek car, the last 2 weeks, but the last time he was in the 17, he finished 3rd.
Oh, wow.
Nearly an accident, however. Somehow they saved it, and Creed is way down, nearly in the grass.
I'm glad we have a bunch of room on this racetrack, Michael.
This is aggressive. Saw Brett Moffitt all crossed up there.
You saw that orange stripe. You don't want that orange stripe right of center. And we saw that orange stripe on the center of that steering wheel, right of center.
This is what we were watching from the onboard of Sheldon Creed. This is what it looked like from up top.
Creed gave up the entry of the corner to try to make a strong run off. Ankrum lost ground, and look. Creed had to make a big correction there.
Tyler Ankrum in 6th. Harrison Burton and Sheldon Creed right behind him. Burton has really had some good runs of late. Didn't get the finishing position last week 16th at Gateway, but he was fighting inside the top 5 late in the race when he was involved in an accident. But he has been top 5 worthy about every time out over the past month. Great view from Sheldon Creed.
You can see Sheldon use that draft down the straightaway to stay up with that 17 truck.
Well, we saw the 99 in the garage. What's the latest, Hermie?
Well, Vince, still a lot of work going on the 99 truck. As you can see, Ben Rhodes obviously very disappointed, but the issue is something internal with the engine. It built pressure and it pushed oil out of the back of the block of the 99. They're going to try to get it back, get oil back in the truck, get him back on track. They want to try to run as many laps as they can to gain as many positions as they can, but they fear this is a issue internally in the engine and it may not run for long.
Well, an issue for the 99, an issue for the 88, his teammate with an engine change. If you're Grant Enfinger or Johnny Sauter, the other 2 Thor Sport trucks, are you worried?
We're not even going to think about that. All we're going to think about is trying to win this race.
Grant Enfinger is your leader. 17 to go here in stage 1. Going to break, but you won't miss a thing. Going to keep on trucking. Welcome back to the Camping World 225. Glad you're with us tonight from Chicagoland Speedway. Still here in stage 1, 10 laps remaining here in this first stage. You saw while we were away, what a save from the 2 Sheldon Creed. Watch this.
The rear end just slips out from under him. He makes pretty significant contact with the outside wall, but stays in the throttle. He had the pass made on Tyler Ankrum, but just couldn't hold it down, and finally the rear end slipped out from under it.
And just kisses that outside wall with the right rear. You can see the damage to the tailgate, and now it's loose as heck. He's sliding all over the place.
just stayed in the gas and just drove it right through it.
I think if you hear your own tire squeal, it's a bad thing, don't you?
It's totally a bad thing, and it usually is followed up by, "Are you okay, bud?"
What's going on? What are they saying about that two-truck, Alan?
Well, Vince, that was the second big moment early on in this first stage for Sheldon Creed, and he saved it both times. He's been complaining about being just far too loose this entire run. There's only a few more laps left until the end of the stage. They're saying just hang on to it, nurse it back so we can get to pit road, guys.
Yeah, he was 5th when he got into the wall, and he rides in 9th right now. And while he was saving that from bringing out a caution, the 52 of Stuart Friesen experienced the same thing. Well, how about Brandon Jones having to get on the brakes to avoid Norm Benning?
He was going for the lead, and he thought he was going to crash all at about the same time, Vince. Heads up move by Jones not to collect Benning, but man, he was down on the inside of our leader Infinger in that 98 truck.
And look how much ground he lost having to jump out of the throttle as we continue with this battle for third.
That's Austin Hill, our pole winner in the 16. Brett Moffitt in the 24. Moffitt won this race last year driving for the 16 team.
Use that 6 truck of Norm Benning for a pick, able to get by Austin Hill to take over that third spot.
What a first stage. We have seen enough excitement for an entire race in these first 30 laps.
Moffitt's got a strong truck. It just seems like as laps go on, he gets better and better. This track's going to go through a transition, too. The sun's down now and start cooling off. I don't know what's going on with this truck. He's falling all the way back to the 12th position, Phil.
Yep, I can hear it. Something's up with the motor. Let's run for temperature. 200. I don't think she's going to make it. Start to vibrate.
That would be the third Thor Sport truck out of the 4 to have engine problems here this weekend.
You said, should they be worried? I said, no, just try to win this race, but it may have struck again here.
And remember, the fourth Thor Sport truck is the one leading the race. That's Grant Infinger. So Ben Rhodes already in the garage. Matt Crafton has had problems. They made an engine change already today. And Infinger out front with 4 laps remaining here in this first stage. And Grant has already led more laps this season than any of his previous seasons, and he has the best average finish of all the drivers in the series. He has had a great year. He's done everything but win.
Yeah, he has 18 more stage points than the closest competitor, which is Stuart Friesen, and it's going to add to that total here, it looks like.
There's Dylan Lupton in the 5 truck making his season debut, driving for DGR Crosley. In fact, first time we've seen Dylan Lupton in a couple of different years. He last ran the truck series back in 2016 and just a couple of races then.
Trying to make his way up into the top 10, trying to get by that 2 truck of Sheldon Creed.
Oh, he wanted to move up, didn't he, Phil? But thought better of it there late, and Creed hangs on. I think Ingram's got a better truck. We know Creed is hobbled.
What a learning curve for Dylan Lupton, having not raced the truck since 2016 and qualified well. Said it was just a lot to learn and how to race these trucks and the aero that comes with it, especially on these mile-and-a-halves.
Those 2 battling have brought the 15 truck of Anthony Alfredo into the mix. There goes Creed again for a slide. That's going to open the door for Lupton and the 15 truck of Alfredo. I've been watching the timing and scoring, Phil. This 17, he continues to impress. Vince, you talked about his best 3rd place career finish. And now here he is again battling inside the top 5. And the fastest lap times of any of our leaders consistently is Ankrum.
And he's moving around the racetrack. We see him run the bottom. We see him run the middle, that corner. He's run the top.
The final lap here in stage 1. That's your leader, Grant Infinger, and he's being hounded by the 51 of Brandon Jones, who started 19th tonight.
Got 10 points and a playoff point on the line here.
Jones inside to make the pass for the lead.
Watch him get loose down there, but Grant's going to slide up the racetrack. Give him some room.
Brandon Jones takes the lead on the final lap of stage 1 and brings it in to take the stage 1 victory.
That was fun. Yeah. Action-packed first stage, and they're still not done battling. You can see Lupton trying to grab the 10th position.
An exciting beginning. Brandon Jones overtakes Grant Enfinger for the Stage 1 win. Chicagoland Speedway, Joliet, Illinois. The Gander Outdoors Truck Series. Stage 1 in the books, and it was a good one. Brandon Jones passing Grant Enfinger on the final lap of the first stage. Jones, of course, runs full-time in the Xfinity season, in the Xfinity Series. So not getting any stage points, but Enfinger picks up 9 and adds to his total, which is the most in the series.
Look at that, Mike.
Beautiful night here at Chicagoland Speedway, and these boys are headed to pit road.
A lot of trucks looking for a little help with their machines to handle a little better. We're going to begin with Brett Moffitt and Allen.
And he's there on the top of your screen. Remember, he won this race last year. He has a great long-run truck, but in the short term, he says he needs to handle better in traffic. He's abusing that right front tire too much, wants a handling adjustment, and 4 tires for 24, Brett Moffitt, Hermie.
Alan, Grant Enfinger is too tight, but he's also concerned about the overall grip level. They're going to lower the air pressure, all 4 tires, hoping to be better on a longer run. The 51 drove from 19th to 1st, but he wants more front turn with the 51. Wants to turn better. They'll do it with air pressure.
Race off pit road belongs to the 51 of Brandon Jones. He went from 19th to 1st, and he wants more. He's kind of greedy,
of course,
isn't he?
Absolutely.
Well, it was a good first stage for Grant Enfinger as well, leading 23 laps. Michael, you want to try to talk to him?
Yeah, let's hit him up. Hey, Grant Enfinger, it's Michael Waltrip and the boys in the Fox booth. Do you copy?
I got you there, Michael.
Solid first stage, really strong truck. 51 came out of nowhere there late and got you. What kind of adjustments do you need to make sure that doesn't happen again?
You know, we started off with really a pretty good balance there. About 12, 15 laps in, started getting a little tight. Tried to conserve as much as I could, but he was just too good. So he put a lot of pressure on me, and he was just better there at the end. So Jeff Hensley, I think he fooled around with the air pressure a little bit. Got all the confidence in the world with him because we got a pretty good Ford F-150 tonight. Got a lot of people here from Champions, so thank you to all those guys.
Well, thank you for talking to us. Have a good rest of your race.
Thanks, Michael.
Stage 2 from Chicagoland Speedway coming your way right after this. Just around the corner, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming your way July 9th from Cleveland. The stars of the Major Leagues, the biggest and the brightest. You'll see it on Fox, July 9th. Clouds a bit ominous, but so far the weather has cooperated for us. Here's that pass for the stage win. Brandon Jones, who started 19th. Taking the lead from Grant Enfinger on
Had
the
a lot
final
of
lap.
had a lot of momentum there and used that draft.
And that just tells you, Phil, how good that 51 truck is handling, because Grant Enfinger was on his quarter panel, but he was able to just hook it to the left and drive away with that stage win.
Well, we heard from Grant Enfinger. Let's hear from his crew chief, Hermie.
Well, Jeff Hensley is a crew chief for that truck. You got a strong truck. It looks like some of your teammates have had a little engine trouble tonight. Does that concern you at all?
No, not really. I mean, we've had awful good luck this year. We've not had really any issues. If we do, it'll be the first one. So can't worry about that. I got nothing else to worry about other than that.
These guys have made some changes. P2 right now on this restart.
I love that. And he's right. They hadn't had any trouble this year. In fact, Phil, they've completed every lap of competition. It's been a really steady, consistent, with a lot of speed. Good start to this season for Enfinger. But I think he's going to have his hands full. Maybe the whole field will with his 51 truck. What an impressive start to the race tonight for that team.
And it shouldn't be a huge surprise that that 51 truck is running as well as it is.
Boy, it has been terrific the last couple of weeks with Chandler Smith, the 16-year-old in it at Iowa, led 55 laps, ended up finishing 8th. And then last week at Gateway, Christian Eckes, average running position inside the top 3, ended up 14th, but they have run better than they finished. And Brandon Jones, you know, it's just a matter of time with his ability.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and that Eckes finish was due to contact from another truck, sent him back.
It was running second inside, what, a lap or 2 to go.
So getting ready to go green here at Chicagoland to start stage number 2. Remember, stage 1 and stage 2, each 35 laps, and the final stage is 80 laps for a 150 lap total. Brandon Jones on the inside, Grant Enfinger on the outside.
That was a strong start for Jones. Looked like he was in a different gear than everybody else.
Looked like he was in first gear, and Grant Enfinger might have been in second gear.
Start taking notes and learning what guys' tendencies are. In case there's a restart later, take advantage of that.
Enfinger second behind Jones, and then the battle for third between Matt Crafton and the yellow 88. Crafton gets it from Austin Hill.
Like when you talked about the very top of the show, Matt Crafton starting from the back of the field and a spinner.
The 54 of Natalie Decker has brought out the caution.
That wasn't your fault.
Sounds like there might have been a little contact there.
And the good thing about that, Phil, she didn't tear that splitter up. You saw it just scraping along that grass. If it digs in, that truck's, her day is done. And unfortunately, that didn't happen.
She'll have to come to pit road for them to clean that grass off it.
She was running in the 11th position, so doing a nice job, and just gets run over. Oh, a nice job there by Ankrum slipping below her as she slipped out of control.
Todd Gilliland just nudged her around just a little bit.
Boy, and you're right, Mike. That's almost surprising that it didn't dig into that turf any more than what we normally see in that situation.
Did you see Ankrum there scraping that front end on the apron as he just barely slipped by?
There wasn't 3 or 4 inches, I don't think, between those trucks.
So Natalie Decker should be able to continue. We'll come by and clean off that grill as she hits pit road. A little help from Todd Gilliland in that situation. Green when we return. Have you been watching the Women's World Cup? What a great one today. The United States get a couple of goals from Megan Rapinoe and beat France 2-1. So the U.S. advances to the semifinals. We'll take on England on Tuesday. You'll see that on Fox. And then tomorrow, it's Italy and the Netherlands. A little coffee with your football. Germany and Sweden will follow, and the winners of those two matches will meet in the other semifinal.
We have a prediction from our production truck. It will be Netherlands, Germany as winners tomorrow.
Giving out odds on that, would you you going with that?
No, well, oh, yeah. I mean, we have some experts down there in our production truck.
Well, we've seen that hood on that 13 up quite a bit tonight. It's not a good sign, Alan.
No, it isn't, Vince. Looks good on the screen right there, but under the hood, something just not working. They've had it up 3 times, that hood on the 13 truck. Crew Chief Joe Shear there. They're just trying to diagnose the problem. They can't figure out what exactly is wrong. They tried plug wires. That didn't solve anything. Johnny Sauter thinks a cylinder might be down. The team is still trying. They're going to get another EC unit, that little computer that may solve all the problems. They just don't know right now. It's just low on power, and they can't figure out exactly what's wrong.
What a helpless feeling.
Yeah, the good news is only 24, now 23 when they come around to restart this race. Laps left in this stage, so they definitely know that they have a stage break coming, maybe to work on that truck some more.
He's going to lose over a second a lap, though, so he could get lapped, but still they're going to have another opportunity to see if they can fix it. Watch this 98 truck up on the outside. Infinger likes to really get aggressive on these starts and restarts. We saw the 51 of Jones really jump out there, see if Infinger learned from that and can address it.
Brandon Jones, the lead vehicle, that white truck there in the front, with Grant Infinger alongside. That's Matt Crafton in the neon yellow 88 behind Jones.
There he goes again.
Boy, Matt Crafton was on it, though. Look at it right on his tailgate.
Matt Crafton with a strong run tonight. Remember, he started at the rear of the field after having to change engines yesterday during practice.
Oh, and he's going to get put 3 wide on the back straightaway with a strong run on the bottom. Oh, he gets
in the wall. He's in the wall.
Some definite contact. A great save there from Brett Moffitt in that 24 as well, as he had contact with Austin Wayne Self in the 22. Meanwhile, Infinger has taken over the lead from Brandon Jones. And Harrison Burton right there in 3rd. Stuart Friesen in 4th. Now Jones looking again.
Didn't we say Stuart Friesen was in the wall?
Ooh. Harrison Burton pulled up to block him. Friesen had a little bit of a run going on the outside. How about Ross Chastain? First time we've seen him up among the leaders today.
Now, Chastain said that he didn't feel like his truck was winning worthy today, but right there toward the front he is again after winning last week.
Yeah. I talked to him, Vince. He said, I'm starting 16th, about where I usually do, but I think I can do something with these boys. Check out Crafton as he tried to squeeze in a hole that wasn't there. Hits the 16 and the 22 with one move.
And then the 22 collects the 24. Brett Moffitt. Brett does a nice job saving that truck.
Hard to believe there wasn't a caution out of all of that contact, but the drivers did a great job keeping their vehicles pointed the right direction.
Oh, man, that could have been big. Great job of driving by Moffitt there, keeping his truck headed in the right direction.
Austin Wayne Self in that 22, giving that truck a nice run tonight. He runs 10th. Ankrum right behind him. And then Spencer Davis in the 44.
Yeah, Spencer's doing a nice job racing up around the top 10.
That's Sheldon Creed in the 2 truck. Remember, he had some pretty significant damage. As you look at the 24 of Brett Moffitt, working on Matt Crafton for 7th and getting that position.
Eventful race so far for Matt Crafton. Remember, he had to start this race in the back after that engine change, got up toward the front. He was just in that incident with the 22. Came over the radio, obviously angry, said he got hooked in the right rear, but the team is telling him no big damage. There's nothing dragging. They just knocked the Goodyear off that right rear. Matt Crafton trying to get it all back together, back toward the front.
I've seen a guy misjudge getting in a hole one end to the other. He was misjudging both. he moved over and hit the truck in front of him and behind him at one time, so lucky to get out of that skirmish on the back straightaway as Matt Crafton still in contention.
You know, Matt was up beside that truck that was in front of him, so that made it hard for me to believe that he actually pulled over and ran into both trucks. I wonder if maybe the 22 of Austin Wayne Self maybe came down a little bit and caught him in the right rear and turned him into that truck. It was hard to tell from our angle.
Take one more look at it and see if we can get a better idea of how it unfolded. Crafton right in the middle.
See, Matt, he's got his nose up beside the 16.
He was squeezing in on the 22, and the 22 was there and turned him sideways.
Yeah. He's losing ground. He desperately wanted to get in that hole between the 16 of Austin Hill and the 22 of Austin Wayne Self.
It desperately wasn't there, however. Anytime you can have a high speed, that's 170-some miles an hour. Have that kind of contact and still be contending, running up inside the top 10 and taking a position away from Ross here in the 45 truck.
9 straight top 10s for Crafton, and of course Ross Chastain coming off last week's win. 2 of the hottest drivers in the series battling for 7th at Chicago. Grant Infinger out front, the Camping World 225. Chicagoland Speedway, Joliet, Illinois, about 50 miles from Chicago. The first of 3, it's a triple header weekend. Xfinity Series racing tomorrow, the Monster Energy Cup Series on Sunday. Cup cars were not on track, by the way, today. They will get on track for the first time tomorrow.
Stuart Friesing down to the bottom, trying to take that 3rd position away.
Friesen and Burton side by side, and that's Austin Hill behind them in the 5th spot. How about that 18, Hermie?
Vince, yesterday in the ARCA race, first time Harrison Burton had ever made laps on this racetrack. I was talking to the crew chief, Mike Hillman Jr., about how he is taken to this racetrack, and he said, you know, driving that ARCA car last night was really a big advantage because there's bumps at turns 3 and 4 at this racetrack. He loses a spot to Friesen, but he said the ARCA car drives a much more rigid type setup, and it really helped him learn how to navigate this racetrack while moving around, looking for speed. As pain dividends tonight for Harrison Burton, Allen.
For me, that 52 of Friesen was having a great battle with 18, and we're now getting 4 trucks in a battle for that spot. But Stuart Friesen took off well since the stage began, and he came over the radio and said, give me more of what you did. And I went and checked with what they did. They said they gave a major track bar adjustment to help the handling of that truck. He wants some more of it. Great run right now for Stuart Friesen.
Well, and how about that 24 of Brett Moffitt? He's got somewhere to go.
Wow.
Still edgy loose from the bottom, pretty good up top. Just can't get within a few car lengths on the bottom without getting loose. right rear, make it 48 square.
I like that talk from crew chief Jerry Baxter, confident in that change that he's going to make to the air pressure on the 24 truck that'll help out Brett Moffitt. Moffitt talked to him earlier today, and he said we haven't been all the way outside the outside wall, up in that high groove, but we're going to be there tonight, and I think my truck will run well up top. He certainly proved that to be true right now.
Yeah, he's there.
That's just what he said, too. And he also made that pass on the bottom of the racetrack where he was talking about being so loose. So if he can make those passes on the bottom down there when he's loose and have that truck good up top, he's got a great shot at it.
Yeah, I would say, wouldn't you agree, Phil, that versatility is what you need out of your truck here at Chicagoland, because it's necessary to run all those different grooves.
Moffitt has been credited with the win this season because he was given the win at Iowa when Ross Chastain failed Tech. But this team, they know that they were gifted that one. They really want to prove that they are championship caliber by going out and winning races, and they're disappointed they haven't done that yet this season.
Yeah, without a doubt. And they won that race and really actually never led a lap. They never got credit for leading any laps. Got that win. That doesn't mean he didn't deserve a win because he was there. That obviously NASCAR found something wrong with this GMS fabrication truck right here of Ross Chastain, and it took away from him.
Watch Ankrum here in that 17 truck. Squeezing around Dylan Lupton.
Yeah, squeeze to the outside and then has to go 3 wide. That'll get your attention.
Didn't want to lose contact with Ross Chastain.
Really impressed with Tyler Ankrum, the 18-year-old from San Bernardino, California. Has done a great job this season, particularly in that DGR equipment.
And that run at Texas was really impressive for that young man. And every time you look up, Tyler Ankrum's running inside the top 5, top 10. That's a great sign for a young racer just getting his legs under him here in the truck series.
Working on Ross Chastain for that 8th position.
You mentioned GMS fabrication on that truck right there. Those teams work together. GMS sells a lot of parts, does a lot of chassis work as well as body work for Nice Motorsports. Have a great relationship. And Ori Gallagher with the owner of GMS said, why don't we just help you? They didn't have a sponsor coming here, so we're going to help that team sponsor it.
Yeah, and Maury's probably telling his own team at GMS, hey, why aren't we beating that 45?
Let's join them.
Let's stop helping them and start beating them. The final laps here of stage 2 as Grant Enfinger continues to lead, and this is almost a mirror image of what we saw at the end of stage 1. Enfinger leading and Brandon Jones trailing in second, and right on that final lap of stage 1, Jones made the pass of Enfinger for the stage win. See how it plays out this time with 2 to go. Pits are closed.
Enfinger's looking in the mirror and saying, I've seen this movie before. I want to make sure this one ends differently. He desperately needs that playoff point. It's a big deal for Grant Enfinger to hold off Brandon Jones.
And as Brandon Jones been saving just enough to get up to him on this last lap. Got one more to go here to the end of the stage.
Final lap in stage 2. Grant Enfinger leading Brandon Jones.
Look at that draft really pull Jones right up to the tailgate of the 98 of Enfinger, but he gets a little loose down in the center of the corner.
That might be just enough for Grant Enfinger to hold him off here. He took a run at him, didn't he?
Through 3 and now turn 4. Grant Enfinger is going to get the job done here in stage 2. Enfinger, the stage 2 winner at Chicagoland, his 4th stage win of the year. The rest of the top 10 comes across, and Jeff Hensley's 98 truck looking darn good here tonight. back at Chicagoland Speedway, the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. 2 stages complete. 3rd and final stage upcoming, but first a round of pit stops. Brandon Jones in that 51 truck won stage 1. Grant Enfinger captured stage 2, and Enfinger has scored the most points tonight, the most stage points, as he has throughout the course of the season, so everything's staying true to form.
Beautiful night here in Chicagoland, isn't it?
As Michael said, all he lacks this year is a win.
Yep.
Ross Chastain without his typical speed. Looks like that truck's bouncing around more than I would like it to. Nothing wrong with that 98 though, is it?
Remember, the 99 of Ben Rhodes was out with a engine issue on the very first lap, and he came into this race on the bubble in regards to the playoffs. The 24 truck of Brett Moffitt. Moffitt was the winner here a year ago. He's coming to pit lane and his pit box, and Alan Cabana's there.
Right there on the top of your screen, Vince. They told him just as that run ended, he was faster than the leaders. That's been the story of the last 2 days. He is great on the long run, happy with the truck. Just a small adjustment for Brett Moffitt. They're thinking about the end of this race.
The 98 of Grant Enfinger, he was a little bit free on that run. Remember, he was tight the last time, so they made an adjustment until the very end. They'll make another adjustment to air pressure. The 51 of Brandon Jones, his truck is a little bit on the free side as well. In the center, they'll make an adjustment with air pressure, and he'll lose a few spots leaving pit road.
Yeah, what a great job by Brett Moffitt's crew. Gaining a couple of positions, and the first one off pit road is Moffitt. Want to talk to him, Phil?
Let's see if we can chat with him. Hey, Brett Moffitt, Phil Parsons, and the boys up on the Fox booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Phil.
That was a solid stage for you. But boy, you sure had a close call there going in 3 early in that second stage.
Yeah, that was a lot more excitement than I was hoping for on that restart, but we got a really good long run Chevy Silverado here, and Jerry and the guys just got us out first of those in pit road, so hopefully we can go get some more here.
All right, buddy, go get you another win.
Fan 4, thank you.
It's like a traffic jam trying to get off pit road. Pick a lane. Don't run into anybody. fans converge for a big weekend at Chicagoland Speedway, and it begins now.
It's going to be fun watching these guys battle. This is an awesome racetrack for these trucks.
It's been a great race so far tonight. Some great work on pit road during that last pit stop exchange as well. How about that crew of Brett Moffitt getting it done in 15.7 to put the 24 truck out front.
He's got that clean air now. Let's see what Brett can do with it. He talked about having a great long run truck. We're going to have a long run here. Got 74 laps to go.
The thing I'd be interested in, Phil, is can he hold off these fast trucks in the short run to get out to that longer haul?
Yeah, some good work there in those Xfinity fastest pit stops. And let's hear from the crew chief of the 24. He's with Alan.
And here on top of the pit box, clean air for the first time for your driver, Brett Moffitt. All week you've had, the story's been you have a great long run truck. What can he do with clean air in this final stage?
Well, we really haven't got any yet tonight, so we're gonna have to see. But no, it seems like over the long haul, the truck's really good. Been making small air pressure adjustments on the thing, and got a little bit of damage on the right side earlier in that second stint, but everything seems fine with it. So we'll see what happens.
Jerry Beck.
Well, Brett Moffitt and company have just haven't been able to quite put it all together this season in a particular race, but just a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
But how about how they put it together last year when he won that championship? He led about 4 or 5 laps and had already won 3 races. That's impressive.
Well, there'll be 76 to go when they take the green flag and begin this third and final stage. Brett Moffitt, the lead truck in the white, and next to him is Grant Enfinger in the 98. Enfinger's led the most laps tonight. Back green for the final stage, and we're going to crank it up at Chicagoland. I'll tell you what, I think this could be anybody's race tonight. There are some strong trucks. 4 wide, that's not going to work. Enfinger had to back out and save it.
Look how much track position he's losing right now.
I knew we would say 4 wide tonight, Vince. I just knew it.
I thought we were going to follow it up with caution, but no, they saved it. We've seen some great saves tonight, but right now Enfinger finds himself way back, and there's the 44 of Spencer Davis going around, collects the 22 of Austin Wayne Self.
Grant Enfinger definitely made contact with the wall. He was side by side with a 44 of Spencer Davis.
That was just tight racing. Davis tried to lay in the throttle while he was just laid right up next to Enfinger, and Davis lost control.
We're back there in that 12th, the 15th, 16th, 17th area.
This 4 wide got my attention.
And I'm not sure that this 4 wide isn't really what led to the accident that we saw much later.
Vince, I think you're exactly right, because what happens with Grant Enfinger, he's going to lose so much track position, and that's going to allow all those guys to get by him, and that's what pulled Spencer Davis. That was a close situation right there that he made a nice save, but look at these trucks go by that are dead in the throttle. He was busy trying to save that truck. See, this 44 gets a little bit loose and makes contact with him. You see the contact with the outside wall for Grant Enfinger.
Well, that's a pretty significant contact for Enfinger.
And then look at the collision between the 22 of Self and the 44 of Davis. Those trucks are done, I think.
Nice job by the 15 of Alfredo to avoid those 2 trucks.
And an unfortunate end for Spencer Davis, making his 2nd start of the season tonight.
You could see how early this started to transpire, Phil. It just entering the corner, Davis was on the bottom, hit a couple of bumps and just couldn't hold on to his truck, runs into Enfinger.
Watch it from the truck of Sheldon Creed.
how tightly side by side those two trucks up top were?
Maybe bottom of 3. They're wrecking outside of you. All clear, all clear. Wrecking behind us.
That could take away what looked like one of the fastest trucks in Chicago, his chance to win this race. I think that's pretty heavy contact to the outside wall.
Yeah, I think so too. But we saw the 52 of Stuart Friesen make contact with the outside wall. I don't think it was quite as hard a contact as what, yeah, there's a lot of damage to the right rear corner of that truck. And they rely on that right rear corner for side force and down force.
Well, that is unfortunate for Enfinger, who's led the most laps here tonight, Hermie.
And what an unfortunate, really entire lap there, Vince. We saw the 4 wide, he's in the middle. He gets loose, he loses all this track position, then trying to get back up to speed, he gets involved in this situation with the 44. You can see the quarter panel on the right rear is split right there at the peak, right there in Champion. So Jeff Hensley has instructed his team, they want to try to fix as much of the damage as they can on the first stop, then try to come back down pit road and put tires on. But unbelievable turn of events for the 98 after leading the majority of this race so far.
You know it's big when they bring out 2-ball bats, Mike.
Now, Vince, this is the key area of one of these trucks for it to handle well. And that corner needs to be out to the left as best it can be. And you can see it smashed in there. I don't really think they have enough material there to save that corner of the truck.
No, I don't think so either.
And Mike, how does it, you talk about how it impacts the handling, how does it impact in regards to what that driver's feeling?
Well, when you get down in the corner, your truck leans on air. It pushes up against the air to have side force, down force to get through the corner. That's why when you see two trucks side by side, which is what caused Grant Enfinger's issues, the truck on the inside doesn't have that air to lean on. There's a void there between the other truck, and so when that happens, you get loose. And so if you're by yourself without a right rear fender, you just can't run lap times.
That's the situation.
Don't go.
That's a situation we saw so many times in Texas. Again, with a narrow racing groove at Texas. A lot more room to maneuver here, but those trucks went in the corner so close together.
Well, plenty of work still to be done on that 98, but they wanted to try to stay on the lead lap, so they'll come back around and continue to work.
Well, I think the machine's faulty.
Hey, you know, it's big enough when it's the Yankees and the Red Sox. Then you send them to London, and it becomes a whole nother sphere of bigness. London Stadium, the Yankees and the Red Sox tomorrow, 12:30 on Fox. First time the Major League Baseball has been played in London, and it is being welcomed with open arms. Very exciting for the Yankees and the Red Sox. Well, these issues for the 99 of Ben Rhodes started with the drop of the green flag. Smoke out the back end. They took him to the garage, and Rhodes never made it back out. Last place finish tonight, and Allen is with him.
Ben Rhodes out of the race, but still here at the racetrack. Was just up on Matt Crafton's box watching the race, asked him to come down. You were in a tough points position going into this race. What are you thinking as you watch these laps go by?
It's just sickening, you know, like everybody's been in a situation where they just feel just sick, you know, just from something that's happened to them, and that's just what this is. It's awful. Like, it puts us in a bad spot for the playoffs picture, but I think what hurts the most is that I thought we had a truck that could have won tonight. Like, my guys are doing everything right. They're working their butts off, and like, just weird stuff's been happening in practice. We had an ECU and battery that needed to be changed out. Here it was just main seal, just dumping oil out of the main seal, and didn't show anything in qualifying, and it just starts doing it as I go through the gears coming up to the green. So just I don't know what to say. Just big letdown.
The tone guy says it all.
And going to the track, though, fortunately for Ben, next race is at Kentucky Speedway, where he won last year.
Home game for him, too.
And the playoff standings right now, he is still on the bubble, and he doesn't have much room to spare. 13 to the good. And Harrison Burton having a real strong night tonight.
I just have a funny feeling from Stuart Friesen all the way back to Todd Gillen, Sheldon Creed. That bubble could get mixed up week in and week out, because any one of those trucks can win and put themselves in the playoffs. And I look forward to seeing who's able to step up and get the job done.
So, Mike, Sheldon Creed doesn't have a top 5 yet this season. What makes you think he can win?
Just his aggressiveness, his speed, and when he learns to temper that at times. I thought he had it under control. A couple of finishes here recently without any issues. Got into a bind here this evening, but with the speed, I want a guy that's fast. We can slow him down in order to try to get him to the checkered flag, and this young man has proven to be fast.
And a top 10 for him tonight is not out of the question either.
Well, his 6th has been his best finish this season. He's done it 3 times, but you're right. He has shown speed, shown enough of it that I'm with you, Mike. I think he is a potential winner.
And then you think about something going wrong with Crafton there. You see him dropping back.
Yeah, Matt Crafton now.
I think that
with
truck,
an issue.
That truck must have, no, now it's going again. I think it must have stalled. It must have shut off.
Shut off. Going again.
You heard him saying shut off. Now it's going again.
But he's going to lose all that track position. They're not going to let him drive back up because he was not able to maintain caution speed. He's going to have to restart right back there.
Well, you see Junior Joyner just shaking his head. What? So you've got, let's talk about these ThorSport trucks. You've got Ben Rhodes out first lap, engine issue. Matt Crafton in the 88 had to change engine yesterday in practice. They've had not been without their issues, as we just saw. And Johnny Sauter, they've had to hood up on that truck a handful of times working on something engine related. Grant Enfinger, the engine's run all right, but he's been into the wall, and now he's got heavy damage.
Crafton would have restarted 7th. That truck's been fast. He started in the rear, and we watched him charge up into the top 10 early, but now he finds himself at the back of the field again. But these caution flags, I think that helps a guy like Creed. Bill, these multiple cautions, because he's able to get into the pit and work on that truck, pull that fender out. The team can continue to improve this number 2 truck.
64 to go, and keep in mind, all these trucks will need to come in for at least one more pit stop. None of them can make it to the end from here.
Yeah, they were talking about once they get to lap 100, that would open the window for them to make it the rest of the way. Might even fudge that a little bit in the high 90s, but right now they could not make it from here.
Now, we saw Phil Gould last week with the big call, no tires on that final stop. Is Do the tires give you an opportunity to make a strategy play here?
Not no tires for sure, and I doubt 2 tires. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, it'll be interesting how the cautions fly if guys do decide to maybe try 2 tires.
Well, it's pretty straightforward then. You better get it done on the track. Brett Moffitt and Stuart Friesen out front for the restart. Moffitt in the white 24 gets a nice push from the 16 of Austin Hill. Strange bedfellows there.
New ride, old ride.
Yep. Moffitt was in that 16 truck a year ago. Took it to victory lane here.
Look at Harrison Burton. Really strong truck's going to go 3 wide. A bad angle into the corner.
Stuart Friesen up top is going to get that 3rd place position. Plenty of company though as Brandon Jones, who maybe has had the fastest truck of the night, sits in 4th as we get a good view from Sheldon Creed.
Following the 4 of Todd Gilliland, Dylan Lupton, the 5 truck up to the 5th position to see if Creed can make this pass on Gilliland. He got the 17. Did a little bit of a slide job right in front of him.
What a great view.
Oh, this is crazy. You can hear him working that throttle. Wants to go wide open, can't quite do it. Side by side off the corner.
Has to modulate that throttle to keep that truck from slipping out from under him.
I think one of the stories of the night's got to be that 5 truck. Dylan Lupton hadn't been in a truck since 2006. Never raced on a 1.5 miles. He only ran 2016. Only ran 2 races that year, a super speedway and a short track. And he is flat out getting it done tonight, running well inside the top 10, currently 6th.
How about that 12 truck we saw right side of your screen? Gus Dean having a good run, racing up near the top 10.
Saying all these guys having great runs, Phil. The only 2 trucks in the top 10 that have wins are Brett Moffitt and Austin Hill. These guys that are joining him in the top 10 never been to victory lane before.
There's that 45 truck of Ross Chastain.
He just changed that. He drove into the top 10.
And just hanging around, isn't he? I mean, that's just kind of been Chastain's MO. Just lurks around, lurks, hangs, and the next thing you know, he's in the mix for the win.
And they keep working on that truck, and they keep making it better. Phil Gould will have one more opportunity to work on that truck.
Well, they admitted it was not their best piece. When they, Phil Gould said, you know, we came here feeling pretty good about ourselves after that win last week, and we rolled off the truck and were terrible in that first practice. He said that humbled us pretty quickly, but they have worked on it, and as you said, Phil, maybe down the stretch here will have something to contend with.
Well, he's not going to slow down or give up, I can promise you that. Ross Chastain's on it. Look at that. Truck bouncing around, he's still in the gas.
It's Todd Gilliland in the 4 truck, just ahead of Chastain. Gilliland in the 7th spot. Dylan Lupton right behind Ross.
Phil Gould and that team does a great job of setting up the truck, but you can just look at it porpoising through the corner, the way he bounces around. All the trucks are moving, but I've just noticed the 45 a little bit more so than the rest today.
In the 3rd and final stage, everybody's got a pit. And that window will open up at about lap 100, about 6 laps from now.
A couple Chevrolets, a couple Toyotas up here in the top 4 spots. Moffitt in a Chevrolet, Friesen in a Chevrolet, Austin Hill and Brandon Jones, both in Toyotas.
Stuart Friesen hasn't led any laps tonight, but you can tell he's got a strong truck. Brandon Jones trying to make the move on him, but Friesen holding him off.
That 51 truck is so impressive on the longer haul. He always seems to be making up spots as he puts more and more laps on the tires. And that's a great way for your truck to handle when it gets better as the tires get hotter and older.
I spoke to Brandon Jones after qualifying, and he just really could not understand how they could qualify 19th with a truck that good. He said he ran wide open, but he also said, you know, it's a little bit of a lesson in how line sensitive these trucks can be as far as speed. Now, they got the truck dialed in for him. He lost 3 spots on pit road and has a little bit of concern with the left front tire. If you can look at that tire, the Goodyear's kind of been knocked off the left front tire. A little bit of contact on a restart, but so far, so good. But he's trying to get back those spots they lost on pit road, Alan.
Herman, we're looking at the 88 right now, Matt Crafton, running fine out there right now. No real complaints on the radio, but there's still some mystery. You can see it right there. There's the officials from Illmore Engines talking with the team. During that last caution, coming up to the restart, the 88 shut off twice. They tried to recycle the engine, figure out what the issue is. Again, it's running fine now, but they're worried about what could happen in the future. Talking to the engine officials down here, just trying to figure out what they can do to figure out the problem.
Yeah, the Illmore folks have had to spend way too much time around the ThorSport folks this week.
Yeah, sure. Matt Crafton was trying to take over that 10th spot from Sheldon Creek. Remember, he was running 7th when that truck stalled. Now he's trying to make his way back up into the top 10.
Well, and how about Grant Infinger and the kind of night that Infinger's had? He's led the most laps. He's won a stage, but he got put in that 4-wide mix and ended up having to get out of it. Eventually got into the wall and suffered some pretty significant right side damage. Now he's mired back in 17th. Not indicative of the kind of truck he had earlier.
Yeah, worse than that, Vince. His last lap time was about a second and a half off the leader, so he's just limping home now. And this is a night where you're really thankful for those stage points, being able to overcome what could be a terrible night for this team and add some points to their total.
8 straight top 10s for Grant Infinger, and as we mentioned, he was the point leader coming in to this race here tonight.
We're in the window now that these guys could make it the rest of the way with one more pit stop.
What about Stuart Friesen? To the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to take the 2nd spot away from Austin Hill. This is impressive. Into the outside wall. You can see a little bit of damage there on the right side, but he's able to continue the march.
And Hill coming right back.
How about the draft that brought Austin Hill right back up beside of Stuart Friesen? Brandon Jones running around the top of the racetrack.
I think if Friesen's going to win this race, he needs to get away from the 51 truck of Brandon Jones. That truck's so strong on the long haul. Any gap he can put on him.
Jones makes the pass for 3rd.
Just a gap he can put on him right now. Jones looked like he's going to hit 2 for 1 there down at 3 and 4.
We saw him take the lead on the last lap of stage 1 and get oh so close at the end of stage number 2.
How about Friesen and Jones? You talk about a couple of guys desperately looking for a win. They've been runner-up a combined 8 times.
They've got that figured out. They've got the 2nd place deal figured out.
Austin Hill back around Brandon Jones. Hill runs 3rd. Infinger bringing it to pit road. Flat tire. Well, it's going from bad to worse, Hermie.
Yeah, they were trying to get by with not having to put tires on because of the lack of tires in the pit. I think they felt like they were going to have more speed than they had actually back on the racetrack. So finally, tire went down, so they had no choice but to come in and put 4 tires on. But a promising night with a bunch of sponsor people here from Champion has gone south for the 98.
Yeah, aerodynamically, that truck is crippled, and he can make it the rest of the way. If this race goes green, then he will not lose as much as he would have by pitting alone here before the caution comes out.
Austin Hill and that 16 truck running 3rd.
Like a light fluid tighter. You just got passed. Get back to 2nd or 3rd. It's going to turn better. Keep telling you, man, you got to trust me on this. It's all about air. Just keep doing the best you can, and we'll keep working on it.
How about that?
Yeah, crew chief Scott Zipadelli. We talked earlier today, and he said it's all about clean air. We've got to get in a position to get that clean air, and that's exactly what he's telling Austin Hill.
And they were in position to do that, but every position they lose certainly hurts the handling of that truck, and that's what Zippy was explaining.
A wealth of experience and knowledge on that pit box of the 16, and Scott Zipadelli, the championship winning crew chief from a year ago. Less than 50 to go at Chicagoland. Pit stops coming up. first, second, and third within a half second of one another. The Camping World 225 and the Gander Outdoors Truck Series from Chicagoland Speedway, where Brett Moffitt in that 24 truck leads the way with Brandon Jones in the white 51 and Stuart Friesen in the blue 52. They are in chase.
Well, the heat is on from the 51 truck of Brandon Jones. He's been strong in the long run. We've seen him chase down Grant Enfinger and win that first stage, and he's on a roll right now. He's closed in and caught these guys.
You see Friesen running in that second place position. It's a familiar spot. He's finished 5 times as a runner-up, never a win. The most second place finishes without a victory in the Truck Series.
We're only about 15 laps away from having to pit now. Maybe you could do a little bit, pit a little bit early, try to get a little bit more new on those tires. Again, I think these guys, most of them will pit with about 25 laps to go in this race.
And not a lot you can do strategy-wise from a tire perspective, because they all need 4. I mean, it's a put 4 on, right?
I think they do. I mean, obviously only having to go 25 more laps, you could get by putting 1 can of fuel in. And if you did right side tires, that would save you probably 6 or 7 seconds. But I'm not sure you would lose that back on the racetrack by not having those 4 tires.
Well, we saw Grant Enfinger pass our leaders, and then once he got the new off his tires, he's faded out of the picture. This 51 truck, I think Rudy Fugle makes the right call on pit road, and I think he has the speed to not only pass Friesen, make this move here, but go up and get some of Moffitt as well. That's my guy here late in the going.
This is the battle for second, and you see Rudy Fugle, the crew chief on that 51, and he's dissatisfaction with his driver not being able to complete the pass.
There's another one of his drivers right behind him. That's Christian Eckes, who did such a great job last week at Gateway. Did not get the finish he deserved. Michael, you mentioned, had a top 2 or 3 run going and got turned around very late in the going.
Yeah, that 51 truck has been to victory lane 6 times this season. 5 with Kyle Busch and 1 with Greg Biffle. In fact, this very truck, the 51, Kyle has driven it to victory lane a couple of times, and it's the truck that the Biffle drove to the win at Texas. But having a tough time getting around Stuart Friesen for second.
And as hard as these guys are racing, there's Brett Moffitt. He really hasn't got away from him. He's about a half a second ahead of them is all.
But anytime when you talk about aerodynamics and dirty air, which these teams and drivers will all talk about, you could keep the pursuit on like the 51 truck of Brandon Jones is doing. He'll eventually get around Stuart Friesen, and I bet you just a lap or 2 when he does that he runs down the leader.
Getting close to making those pit stops. Will they come under green? Here's radio from the 24 of Moffitt.
Brian, my gut still says 4 tires here. They lose half second easy, you know. I don't want to pit on the same lap. Pit on the same lap and take a chance of him running over us or something. Thinking 122? Yes, the earlier the better, for sure.
Talking about lap 122, that's 7 laps away.
That was discussing with the engineers or the spotter. That wasn't a Moffitt that they were talking that over with. They'll just tell Moffitt the plan, and he'll come to pit road when they say.
You know, one thing you could do if you pitted 3 or 4 laps early and you ran a half a second faster for those 3 or 4 laps, that might be the difference between Friesen or Jones bypassing Moffitt if they could pit before him.
And just think about this, Phil. We're ending a long haul. We're going to put on fresh tires. Jones's truck has been better on the long run. Will he have enough speed on those new tires early to be able to keep this pursuit up?
Well, and Moffitt's truck has been best on the long run tonight, as well as Jones again challenging Friesen for second. He's been side by side with him multiple times, but just hasn't been able to complete that pass.
These guys have opened about 4 seconds ahead of the fourth place running Austin Hill right now, so they have a pretty nice cushion on 4th.
Tyler Ankrum has come to pit road. He pitted from the 6th position, so he's the first one to come make that green flag pit stop.
Jones got it.
There it is.
Finally,
there
Brandon Jones.
Pitting first from 6. We'll see if he's able to close up the gap. He was some 7 seconds behind our leaders. See how that plays out.
Can Jones distance himself now a little bit from Friesen?
That battle's allowed Brett Moffitt to open up about a second. You can see it right there, left side of your screen. 1.7 seconds over that second place running Brandon Jones.
But you can see, look at Jones already opening up on Friesen. A lap here without anybody in his windshield. Is he able to close the gap? Yeah, just about the same lap time as Moffitt that lap.
And maybe when he gets clear of the 52 truck, it might even be better. Here comes Ross Chastain, the GMS fabrication truck, to pit road.
Matt Crafton on as well on the 17 of Tyler Ankrum, speeding on exit.
Ah, that's a shame.
Yes.
Sixth place when he came to pit road. The young 18-year-old made a mistake, and he'll have to do a pass-through penalty.
4 tires for Chastain, 4 tires for Crafton. Stewart Friesen now on pit road. Let's see what Trip Bruce does. I really have a feeling somebody is going to do 2 tires.
Allen is there for Friesen.
That was the best run of the night. He said he's just too tight in the front of the truck when going through the corners, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 2 right side tires. They move over to the left side, put 4 tires on this truck. Remember, still going for that win. Always having speed, but still trying to get that first win for the 52 of Stewart Friesen. Coming in right behind him is the 24, the leader of Brett Moffitt. He was leaving the decision up to crew chief Jerry Baxter as to what to do. Brett Moffitt says he wants to be just a little tighter so they can fire off just in case they get a late race caution. But on that last run, he says he never lifted. It's on the best lap of the night, Ernie.
Here comes the 18 of Harrison Burton. He's looking for rear security to finish out this race. It'll be 4 tires for the 18. Also the 16 of Brett Moffitt. He's on pit road. 16 of Austin Hill is on pit road. He got tighter the further he got back in traffic. We're going to try to give him a little more front turn for these final 30 laps.
Well, and Brandon Jones is on pit road as well. He'll go to the very end. It's the first pit box and his KBM team waiting for him.
He's steadily battling back. Finally got to the second position. They know they need to nail this stop. 4 tires, and they want to get this truck to turn a little bit better. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment for the 51.
So important for those guys over the wall. And here comes the blend, the 24 of Moffitt. Can he get ahead of the 51 of Jones? He does.
Remember, a couple extra laps with fresher tires. They make a big difference here.
Now we just wait and make sure none of our front runners had a penalty there. Make sure everybody's clean.
Yeah, saw no serious miscues in regards to the tire changes. Really the only red flag, so to speak, was the speeding called on Ankrum, who had pitted from 6th. There's Jerry Baxter, the crew chief for Brett Moffitt.
Our top 4 runners have not been to pit road yet. Sheldon Creed right now leads our race. There's Jerry Baxter. Keeping an eye on his driver, Brett Moffitt.
Creed is the leader, but remember, he has to come to pit road yet. And he's coming right now. Going to break, but you won't miss a thing from Chicago.
text, Brad.
Watching the 24 of Brett Moffitt, the Camping World 225. It's Moffitt out in front, trying to win for the second time this season. Remember, he was declared the winner when Ross Chastain's winning truck didn't pass Tech. And it was the 24 of Moffitt that was credited with that win at Iowa.
He has now led the most laps in this race. That was his 50th lap led. There's our second place running, Brandon Jones. Looks like those pit stops resulted in about a 1 second gain for Brett Moffitt. He was about a second and a half ahead when they started making green flag pit stops. Now he's 2.5 seconds ahead.
Yeah, and his new tires, the tires, the short run speed on Brandon Jones just isn't there. That time by, Moffitt ran about a 10th better than Jones. That should equal out. We're gonna have a drama-filled last 20 laps here as these guys race toward the checker.
Well, that's where that over-the-wall performance really is big in every series, but particularly here tonight, gaining Brett Moffitt when they pit under green, gaining Brett Moffitt even more of an advantage on track.
Yeah, he ran 1 lap shorter than did Brandon Jones, so that means he pitted 1 lap shorter. That means he had fresher tires for 1 more lap than Brandon Jones did. That may have resulted in some of that 1 second.
Our Gander Outdoors, 20 to go at Chicagoland Speedway. Brett Moffitt trying to go back to back after winning this race a year ago.
Laps around Jordan Anderson there. Jordan had a spin early. Now he's running in the 18th position.
Dylan Lupton continues to impress. He was well inside the top 10 earlier tonight, currently rides 10th. The first of 6 races that he'll run for DGR Crosley. Will be back in the truck in our next race at Kentucky.
That visor cam looks violent out there, doesn't it?
Riding with Sheldon Creed now, making the inside pass of Lupton.
Lupton's going to fight back on the outside. Look at Sheldon Creed's truck jump around there when it goes through the bumps.
Oh, nearly contact there. Can you imagine a couple 100 miles of that bouncing around?
Creed's got some damage on both the right rear and left rear, but has still been wheeling it. Loose again and skated up the track, but he gathered it up. He ain't scared.
No, that's for sure. So I'll have to grab a handful of steering wheel and turn it right to catch that truck.
This continues that pursuit of Lupton in the 10th position, but it's a thrill ride for us to watch because he's about to crash every corner.
You know, just ahead of Sheldon Creed, the 15 of Anthony Alfredo, done a nice job yesterday and today. He was fastest in 2 of the 3 practices yesterday, also out of the DGR Crosley camp.
Yeah, 3.
Gillen and Crosley running 4 trucks this weekend.
Yeah, 3 top 12 finishes in a row for Anthony Alfredo coming in here, including that career best top 10 at Charlotte.
Tell you how competitive things are. That time by Vince Alfredo that you're talking about had the fastest truck on that lap. He's down in the 9th position, but he ran a 31.50, which is a couple of tenths faster than our leaders.
Passing Jesse Iwuji there. Iwuji is off the pace. He's well behind, but great to see Jesse back in the truck here at Chicagoland.
There he is.
Lieutenant Commander, recently promoted in the U.S. Navy.
Just a great guy, too. Loves the opportunity he gets to race this truck, and 10 laps down, running in the 22nd position, but anytime you can get out there and make laps, you're learning, it's going to make you a better racer.
Would you say he's soldiering on?
He's definitely doing just that tonight, and that's what it's all about.
Michael, you should have said no. I would not say that. Phil, you would have said it, but no. 15 laps remaining. Can anybody catch Brett Moffitt? It certainly doesn't look like it. He talked earlier, we heard Alan Cavana ask his crew chief Jerry Baxter about how good is your truck in clean air, and Jerry said, I don't know, we haven't had any, but they have got the clean air now, and he is stretching his legs, almost 4-second advantage.
Moved down to the bottom of the racetrack. He's actually gained some more time. He's almost 4 seconds ahead of Brandon Jones now. He had been primarily running the top of the racetrack at both ends.
4 seconds.
Now he's moved down to the bottom.
You know, that's how he won Miami, running down around the bottom. Never went up there and tried that high line. Tonight, like we said earlier, Phil, a versatile truck was key. He was able to run the top when he had to. Now he's able to take it down to the bottom. That's certainly a safer path to take. You can see Brandon Jones, whatever that last adjustment or the set of tires, it just hasn't agreed with his truck as he's fallen off the pace of Moffitt.
Ross Chastain taking 7th for Matt Crafton. Chastain has strung together a nice season as well, obviously, with a couple of wins and top 10 in every single race except the one in which he crossed the finish line first but was disqualified and is given last place position.
Matt Crafton has a nice little string of top 10s going coming in here. This would be 10 in a row for him if he could complete it in the top 10.
And it hadn't been without drama. The truck shutting off under caution. He nearly had a crash on the back straightaway.
Sheldon Creed looking back at Brett Moffitt there, and Creed trying to stay on the lead lap. Alan?
And on Brett Moffitt's radio, they're just giving him updates, telling him where Brandon Jones is running on the track. Actually told him at one point the lead is maybe too big. Said maybe you want to back off just a little bit, they told Brett Moffitt, just to save something in case they need it at the end. I know that sounds easy, but Michael, Phil, I can't imagine that's easy for a driver to do or hear when you just want to go win the race.
But I like that, Alan. You know, you might have to save something on your tires. You don't want to stretch out a lead that you don't need, because if the caution flies late, you're going to need all the grip you can get. So that's great advice. I like stabilizing here. Maybe let that lead dwindle down to 2 seconds and then say, okay, I got to stabilize here. Certainly something to consider.
You saw a little bit of damage on the right side of Brett Moffitt's 24 truck, but it has been relatively uneventful since then for Moffitt as he's led 62. But there has been tight corner racing tonight, particularly in those first 2 stages when we saw at times 4 wide and many times 3 wide contact up and down throughout the field.
Another solid effort for Harrison Burton right now, running in the 4th spot. And his teammate Todd Gilliland, his other teammate Todd Gilliland, only 2 spots behind him in 6th. There's a 16 truck right there, Austin Nail. He runs in the 5th spot.
And there's the 6th place running Todd Gilliland. 3 Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks up in the top 6.
Yeah, Gilliland 6th, Burton 4th, and Brandon Jones 2nd.
He's rim riding, isn't he? Right out next to that outside wall. That's a great experience. Got to learn to run that line.
Burton and Gilliland still find themselves outside the playoff cut line. You see the Kyle Busch Motorsports running order there on the left-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, very solid day for KBM.
4 races remain in the regular season after tonight's race. And there's no question the 4 and the 18 both capable of winning, but just might have to get into the playoffs.
You got to give it up for this 24 team of Brett Moffitt, Jerry Baxter. That last pit stop, Moffitt did his job perfectly. Got in and off pit road. The team executed. He was able to gain a second over the competition. And then whatever Baxter did to that truck on the pit stop, adjustment-wise, it agreed with Brett, and he has set sail.
He was the fastest truck on the racetrack that last lap by about 1/100th of a second over the 2nd place running Brandon Jones.
Moffitt ran 5th last week at Gateway, but they were only in the top 5 for a couple of laps. I mean, it wasn't a great night for them, and they were surprised because they really felt in practice they were very strong and had a truck capable of winning. So to come back from that disappointment to have the kind of night they had tonight, really vindication for them.
And I agree, and I think, you know, obviously they won the race at Iowa, but I think this win right here, if they can finish it off, we don't get a caution flag, they get this win here, that's going to really jumpstart their season.
Well, this was the time of year when Brett Moffitt really got hot last season and started stringing it together from this point on to the end at Homestead to secure that championship.
Yeah, I overheard him talking with Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, a couple of the Cup drivers, and they said, what are you missing this year? He said, it's just not the speed I thought I would have. The truck feels good, and it just isn't it's just not fast enough. Tonight, he's got a great feel, obviously, and a whole lot of speed.
And a flawless race called by Jerry Baxter.
Yes, sir. Baxter did a great job, and this team's, I mean, it was nearly taken away from Austin Self, hit the right side of that truck, and that could have ended the night, but he was able to hang on to the truck, and now he's marching toward the checkered flag.
Well, you know Jerry Baxter, he's been around the sport a long time, but he is not counting on it. He is nervous, and you know that stomach is churning right now as these laps wind down.
Well, if he wasn't
Be real patient. We got plenty of time.
Yeah, look how nervous Baxter is. He's wanting to say, slow down, Brett.
He'd be holding his breath if he wasn't talking on the radio, Michael.
Well, this team has faced some pressure. I mean, they were the team that was favored to win the championship coming into this race, into this season. After Moffitt won the championship last season in the 16 truck for Hattori, and then coming over to GMS, one of the power teams in the truck series. But yet, they haven't won a race this season other than the one that they inherited with the disqualification of Ross Chastain. But they are putting a stamp on it tonight. Speaking of Chastain, going around Crafton for 7th.
Been a good battle for the last few laps between Crafton and Chastain.
Looks like Crafton's handling a little bit better, able to duck down below Ross, but can't make the move.
The white truck is going to take the white flag. 1 to go for Brett Moffitt here at Chicagoland.
That's what Baxter's less nervous now. He knows there's not going to be overtime, NASCAR overtime. If his truck can just get back to the start-finish line, it's all there.
It has been tight at times, as evidenced by that donut on the right-hand side of that 24 truck, but it has been a near flawless performance on the pit box, on pit lane, and behind the wheel. And Brett Moffitt will bring it home for the win at Chicagoland.
Nice work, man. All you guys.
Chastain and Crafton not done yet, fighting for 7th. Ross will get it.
Ross will move just a little bit closer to that top 20 to qualify himself for the playoffs.
And how about Anthony Alfredo and Dylan Lupton bringing it in with a pair of top 10 performances?
Yeah, and Tyler Ankrum scrambled back to 13th after that pit road penalty, so nice job for that team.
While his driver does the celebration donuts, let's hear from the crew chief.
Congratulations all around down here for Jerry Baxter. You had a dominant truck, great pit stops. You didn't really get to celebrate the first win. What is this like right now?
Like the first win. So, yeah, it was good. We made a long runs yesterday at practice. We knew we had a really good truck on the long haul. And Brett just does a heck of a job on these types of tracks. And finally, we put everything together, the pit stops, the whole deal. Got a little damage, but pretty sure GMS Fab can take care of that. So.
When you get the defending champion driver, there's pressure on you to go out there and win. Were you feeling any of that?
Trust me. Yeah, but it'll be okay. That feels real good. So couldn't think of a better chance for me to have. So I'm pretty happy.
They're gonna go chase the championship now, guys.
That's awesome. You could just see the emotion there. Jerry's worked so hard, and a lot of that pressure he's feeling, he put on himself. He knew he had the championship driver, and they just hadn't performed up to their expectations. And to be able to deliver like he did tonight, it's just a lot of relief, and it'll build confidence too, because he made every call perfectly tonight. It was a great race for that.
They have a lot of resources at GMS, so they all felt like they should be in victory lane. They had a great run here. Stuart Friesen with a 3rd place run. Another great run for Stuart Friesen. 2 GMS trucks up in the top 3, and Ross Chastain with GMS Fabrication as a sponsor gets another top 10, finishes 7th.
Back to back at Chicagoland for Brett Moffitt. 2018 and 2019, the winner.